Welcome back, Defenders. Now, the headlines, they do tell a story. It's an incredibly dumb story, but it's the story I have to tell you today. First thing you should know is that the Russians are not adhering to a ceasefire on anything. Russian strikes violate ceasefire, leaving thousands without power in southern Ukraine. This happened in the city of Kherson last night, and here's what President Zelensky has to say. We have shared all information regarding Russia's violations in the energy sector. There were strikes, and today again in Kherson. A Russian drone targeted an energy facility and equipment deliberately and purposefully. Part of the city was left without electricity. We insist that every such violation must be documented and receive a response from our partners. It is precisely these small details that add up to Russia's major delays in the diplomatic process. So what are the headlines? Ukraine and Russia complained to the United States about strikes on energy sites. The Russians are claiming that Ukraine struck this gas terminal in Suja, which wasn't operational and already destroyed, but Russia is using it as an excuse to continue striking energy infrastructure. The city of Kherson, the city of Kharkiv, the city of Zaporizhia. The Russians are doing nothing different in their war planning. And this was said today. Russia cannot accept the U.S. ceasefire proposal in Ukraine. This was stated by the Deputy Foreign Minister. We take the Americans' proposed models and solutions very seriously, but we also cannot accept them as is. This is according to Witkoff. He said this in an interview published by Russia's Foreign Ministry Journal of International Affairs. So was there a ceasefire agreed upon by Russia a week ago or not? And they're kind of pretending like they never agreed to anything. So Trump says he's very angry with Putin about Ukraine. Oh no, Trump is angry. I'm not going to play for you a clip of Trump speaking, but this is the White House press secretary. When asked, how does Donald Trump feel about the Russians not respecting the partial ceasefire on energy infrastructure in the Black Sea?
I can tell you what the president said last night, and that is he is frustrated with leaders on both sides of this war. He wants this war to end. There are men that are dying on both sides, and it's been going on for far too long. Our team continues to be engaged with the Russians as we are with the Ukrainians, and the president continues to be very, very much engaged on this topic every single day.
Trump is frustrated with leaders on both sides. He's just going to both sides, Russia continuing to attack Ukraine's energy infrastructure. But the US president is pissed off at Putin's comments on Zelensky's legitimacy. So this was a week and a half ago. Trump and Putin had this phone call. And on the phone call, Putin said, you got to get rid of Zelensky. President Zelensky has to go away. You have to find a way to pressure him to resign or remove him from office. Because President Zelensky is not corrupt, and the Russians and even Trump can't buy him, Russia wants him to go away. But to Trump's credit, Trump rejects Putin's plan for a UN-led interim government. So if President Zelensky stepped down or was removed, what Russia wants is a UN-led interim government to take control of Ukraine. There are some fantastic UN members that could step up and help the world with this process. We could get a UN-led mission from Iran, Belarus, and North Korea, and they could take care of the governments in Kyiv to make sure there's a fair outcome for Russia. Like, this is insane. Even Trump rejected it, but the Kremlin doubles down on demands that President Zelensky be removed from office and some UN-led interim government to take over Ukraine. This is never going to happen. Even Trump knows this is never going to happen. So Trump said he is threatening secondary tariffs on Russia's oil industry if Russia does not agree to peace. What the hell is a secondary tariff? Trump is avoiding the word sanction because when you sanction a company, that doesn't make you money. Trump loves tariffs because when you do a tariff, Trump thinks he's making money. But a tariff is a sales tax on foreign imports. American citizens are paying higher taxes every time Trump imposes a tariff on anything. But a secondary tariff is not a real thing. If Russia sells oil to India and India buys it, Trump's going to place tariffs on India, and then Americans have to pay higher costs for Indian imports. I told you guys it was incredibly dumb. And now the Russian Foreign Ministry is accusing Trump of not wanting peace. The Russians are accusing Trump of not wanting peace because he won't support their demands. All of their demands, especially somehow getting rid of Zelensky and having the UN take control of Ukraine's government. And Putin is just stalling. He's just stonewalling and slow-rolling Trump. Putin remains open to speaking with Trump, but why bother? Really, Russia is getting everything they want. Donald Trump is dismantling the deep state. He's defunding journalists that report the truth in Russia. He got rid of, the task force trying to find stolen Ukrainian children. He defunded USAID, which had aid going to Ukraine. And there's no more military aid. There's still stuff being delivered, but no additional military packages will ever be voted on by Congress as long as Trump remains president. So why does Putin want to waste his time legitimizing Trump, having a meeting or gathering with Trump in Saudi Arabia or Turkey or whatever? So Trump was trying to get this face-to-face peace summit prior to Easter. And it's sounding more and more like Putin doesn't want to do it. Putin is the one telling Trump no. And when you tell Trump no, oftentimes he just backs down. Trump is a bully, but he's also a coward. So the Trump administration is now saying that a ceasefire is unlikely in the coming months. Trump tried being super nice to Russia to sweet talk Russia into agreeing to a ceasefire, and Russia said no. And Trump doesn't see any other options available to him. This is how stupid this all is. So what is Putin focusing on? Putin signs largest conscription campaign in 14 years, drafting an additional 160,000 men. Putin orders 160,000 new conscripts as Ukraine warns that Russia is preparing offensives on 3 Ukrainian fronts. Does this look like a man who wants a ceasefire? Does this look like the actions of a man who wants peace? For comparison, what are the numbers? And last spring of last year, Russia conscripted 150,000 men. Then in the fall, 133,000 joined through contracts. So Russia's total military personnel is now at 2.4 million, with 1.5 million being active duty troops. And this is on top of the casualties. If Russia had sustained more than 800,000 casualties, those are men not in uniform anymore. And still, Russia's military has swelled to 2.4 million. These are not the actions of a man looking for peace. He's looking to expand the wars, and really he's planning for the next war, for the invasion of the Baltics. Contract soldiers do the fighting on the front lines, but conscripts, this is mandatory military service for a year. Now, conscripts are not supposed to be used on the front lines, but sometimes they are. But really, it's just 1 year of training. Your 1 year of conscription, maybe you're guarding road mobiles in Siberia, who cares? But at the end of your 1 year of conscription, the Russian military pressures you. They more or less force you to sign a contract. Then you're eligible to go to Ukraine. So by conscripting 160,000 this year, they're planning to force these Russian men in a year when their conscription is over to sign a contract. and then they'll be sent to Ukraine. This is what Russia is planning. So it's all up in the air. We don't know what Russia is going to do this spring and summer. Will they launch new offensives into Chernihiv and Sumy? Russia at the moment is building up forces in Bryansk and Kursk. Will they try and get across the Dnipro River? Are they going to attack Zaporizhia? Have they given up on Donetsk? They're barely moving. And Ukraine, all they can do is respond and hope that Western partners continue to support them, which here on the channel we're going to do for as long as it takes. But here's the conundrum. Russia's army is struggling to capture territory in Ukraine while Putin is lying about it. Ukraine war latest, Russia's territorial gains in Ukraine dropped to the lowest level since June of 2024. Here's the graph showing how many square kilometers of territory has Russia taken each month. So this was last month, this was March, February, January, December, November. Leading up to the November election here in the United States, Russia was increasing the intensity of attacks, and they were having moderate success on the battlefield. In the month of November, they took 725 square kilometers. But it's been dropping every month since then. And for the month of March, Russia only took 130 square kilometers. That's not a lot of territory. While still taking horrendous casualties, it's estimated that Russia took 41,000 casualties just in the month of March. And they only took 130 square kilometers. For anyone saying that Russia is winning this war, your immediate response is, Russia today controls less of Ukraine than they did 3 years ago. We can say this statistic for the rest of the year, but all the territory that Russia has taken in Donetsk over the last 3 years doesn't cancel out the territory they lost. This was in the opening weeks of the war. Then in September of 2022, they lost all this territory in Kharkiv. Then in November of 2022, they lost all this territory in Kherson. More than 2 years of continuous meat assaults on the front lines, and Russia still has not made up for all the territory they lost to Ukraine in 2022. Let's enter the spin zone. This is Kremlin State TV, and what are they saying? Here's the latest clip from Russia Media Monitor. Experts explain the meaning behind Putin's peace proposals. The entire clip is 9 minutes of insanity. I'll just read for you this highlight because I think it's important. In reality, we're currently in a good situation in comparison to Ukraine's armed forces or the Europeans, who are in the midst of a crisis. This goes for you too, dear friend Trump, because you don't have much time. There is no guarantee that you will have good cards in the upcoming elections. Are the Russians talking about the 2026 midterms or Trump's re-election in 2028? The fact that Putin is a dictator and he will stay in office until he dies, this is an advantage for Russia, because Russia never has to worry about elections, but even Trump and MAGA still do have to worry about elections here in the United States. It is possible that the proposal to Trump sounds as follows. Do your part of the job, which consists of stopping weapon supplies to Ukraine, stop intelligence sharing with them, and cutting off Starlink. Everything that depends on the United States. We say, do this part of the job, stop everything that depends on the United States, then we will do what we will do. We will complete all these tasks, including the denazification, and then, in part 3, all of us can think together about the way Ukraine will continue to live. This is the Russians publicly telling Donald Trump the reason we helped you get elected, the reason the Kremlin spent hundreds of millions of dollars through dark money and shell companies to help elect Donald Trump, cut off all military support, stop intelligence sharing, and cut off Starlink, and then allow the Russians to win. allow the Russians to kill everyone they want to kill, destroy everything they want to destroy, and then Russia, Ukraine, and the United States can sit down and talk about a peace deal. What is Trump actually focused on? Trump claims Ukraine faces big problems if it backs out of the rare earth agreement. This is a mafia shakedown. This doesn't benefit Ukraine at all at this point. The purpose of mentioning rare earth minerals was to say, if the United States continues military support, in the future we can pay you back. But Donald Trump took this idea and he perverted it, saying we won't guarantee any security guarantees, we won't provide any additional future military aid, and by the way, your minerals are now reparations. You have to pay us back for all of the military assistance provided by Joe Biden and the Democrats. I'm not going to play the clip. I'll link it down below if you want to hear Trump sounding evil. This is extortion. Zelensky's not going to sign this deal. And it gets dumber. Russia and the United States begin talks on rare earth metals according to Putin's envoy. Rare earth metals are an important area for cooperation, and we have started discussions with various rare earth metals and projects in Russia. This is Donald Trump saying that they could strike a mineral deal with Russia. I shouldn't be smiling, I shouldn't be laughing, but what other human emotion can I possibly give you on camera? How stupid and evil all of this is. At the moment, Donald Trump is applying pressure on Zelensky to have Ukraine surrender their rare earth minerals in perpetuity. There's no cap on the latest version of the deal. And at the same time, the Trump administration is talking to the Russians, trying to strike some kind of mineral deal with the Russians as well. Trump doesn't actually care if people are dying. And this is now reflecting in the polling and the public opinion of Ukrainians. 73% of Ukrainians say Trump is bad for Ukraine now. And this is in stark contrast to just 4 months ago. This is December. In December, 54% of Ukrainians thought Trump was good for Ukraine. 21% thought bad. But especially after the White House visits and Trump demanding Ukraine surrender all of their natural wealth, well, now it's flipped. Only 19% of Ukrainians think that Trump is good for Ukraine, and 73% believe he is bad. So this is a stalling game. The Russians are stalling Trump, but also I think President Zelensky is also stalling Trump. Zelensky's never going to sign this deal. Trump might give up on the idea and stop talking about it, but this is the justification that Trump was looking for, to completely cut off Ukraine. But at the moment, military aid is still being delivered. These are Gimler's rounds, air defense missiles, artillery shells, all material that was allocated under Biden, but it's still being delivered. There were, 8 flights delivered just this week. And here's a frequency chart showing the delivery. Each one of these numbers is a 747 making a delivery. So you can see going back to January, President Biden was trying to deliver as much as he could. Trump took office on January 20th, and the deliveries continued as normal. We then had the White House visit, and Trump ended all military aid. He stopped the deliveries. He then resumed them, but for how long? Donald Trump could shut this off again at any moment, and then Ukraine and Europe, you're on your own. Either way, future American arm transfers to Ukraine will be only for cash. The Ukrainians and the Europeans will have to pay for anything. That really is the best case scenario as long as Trump remains president. European partners can still buy artillery shells, air defense missiles, Gimler's rounds, and I'm assuming the United States we'll deliver them, but this is where we are, guys, going forward. Because Trump is more concerned about invading and annexing Greenland. The United States and Denmark will hold their first high-level talks since Trump took office. And this is so stupid. This is according to the Washington Post. The White House is preparing an estimate of what it would cost the federal government to control Greenland as a territory. According to 3 people with knowledge of the matter, the most concrete effort yet to turn Trump's desire to acquire the Danish island into actionable policy. Do I think this is going to happen? And it depends. I don't think it'll be Trump's first action. I think Trump is going to try and seize the Panama Canal first. That is the expeditionary event that he has the most legal authority to do. If Trump deploys the military to seize the Panama Canal, this has been done before, and Trump can make whatever legal argument he can make based on past events. But he can't do this for Greenland. This is going to require higher levels of political capital. And at the moment, Trump is losing all of his election political capital. Donald Trump's approval rating falls to a new low. This just goes down every day. This was an AP NORC survey conducted between March 20th and 24th, showing that 56% of Americans now disapprove of Trump's job as president, while only 42% of Americans approve. These numbers have basically flipped in the last 2 months. Trump was at a 56% approval, 42% disapproval right after taking office, and he continues to sink every single day. He now has a net disapproval rating by 14 percentage points. That's actually pretty significant in only 3 months on the job. And this was a political defeat for MAGA and Trump and Elon Musk in Wisconsin. We had special elections for Congress seats in Florida. The Democrats outperformed their November election results by like 20 percentage points, but they still lost. Those were deep red districts. But in Wisconsin, this is a state that Donald Trump won in November by a couple percentage points. And everyone knew who the Democrats were supporting. Everybody knew who the Republicans were supporting. And the MAGA-backed judge lost huge by 9 percentage points in a state that Donald Trump won. So I think this has spooked a lot of people in MAGA. This is political capital evaporating, and Donald Trump feels this. So we got this headline today. Trump told cabinet that Elon Musk will leave the administration in the coming months. Elon Musk spent $25 million of his own money to make sure that Brad Schimmel won. He went to the state himself to do campaign events, and Donald Trump didn't. Donald Trump didn't go to Wisconsin. He chose to send Elon Musk to see what would happen. Now, if Brad Schimmel had won, I'm sure Elon Musk would have been given credit. But because this conservative or this MAGA judge lost, well, Trump is now second-guessing, is Elon Musk an asset to me, or is he an anchor? And you and I know he's an anchor. So I do think this divorce is coming. We all knew this was going to come. In the next couple weeks, Trump is going to try and push Elon Musk out of the government. And then you and I get to watch in real time on social media the two most insane, narcissistic social media people going at it. I do think Donald Trump and Elon Musk don't really like each other, and they don't like competing for attention. So this divorce was inevitable. It's actually happening sooner than I thought. But these two are going to start fighting each other. And the more they fight each other, the less threat there is to Panama, Canada, and Greenland. But unfortunately for Canada, you still have to take the threat serious. The new Prime Minister, I don't know anything about his domestic politics, but I do like how he carries himself. I like how he speaks. He sounds very confident. And he's just telling Donald Trump no to everything. He's not willing to negotiate Canada's sovereignty. Canada does not want to be subjugated into a resource colony for America. So here is the tone that the new Prime Minister of Canada is currently taking.
President Trump is in the process of trying to fundamentally restructure the U.S. economy, and that means that our economy here needs to change dramatically as well. And as I made clear to President Trump in our call last week, I will reject all attempts to weaken Canada, all attempts to wear us down, to break us down so that America can own us.
Elbows up, Canada. Continue resisting. Same is true for everyone in the European Union. Donald Trump was threatening tariffs. I honestly don't know what is currently active and in place. He keeps threatening, enacting, repealing, bringing back, threatening some more. But here is Ursula von der Leyen and what she is saying about Donald Trump and his threats.
And because of this collective experience of the last, almost 75 years, so many Europeans feel utterly disheartened by the announcement from the United States. Let me be clear, Europe did not start this confrontation. We think it is wrong. But my message to you today is that we have everything we need to protect our people and our prosperity. We have the largest single market in the world. We have the strength to negotiate. We have the power to push back. And the people of Europe should know that together we will always promote and defend our interests and our values, and together we will always stand up for our Europe.
Whatever Donald Trump is hoping to accomplish, he's going to fail. He's an absolute idiot, and everyone who supports him is also an idiot. And nobody voted for this. Nobody in America wanted to cut economic ties with Canada and the European Union for closer relations with Russia. Like, there's no economists, there's no experts, there's no authority, there's no business leader that thinks this is a good idea, what Donald Trump is currently trying to do. And I just have to keep going back to these numbers. These are U.S. exports, what American businesses sell to international customers. And the U.S. exports $370 billion to the European Union, $349 billion to Canada, $334 billion to Mexico, basically $80 billion to the UK, and only $500 million to Russia. And Donald Trump is basically trying to restructure the entire American economy, where FU Europe, FU Canada, FU Mexico, maybe UK, you won't get sanctions, but you probably will get sanctions, to instead have a mineral deal and increased relations with Russia, whose economy is the same size as Italy alone. The United States is screwed. I mean, this year it's going to get really bad. If Donald Trump doesn't immediately back down and stop doing whatever he thinks he's doing, it's going to get devastating. We're not going to see economic fallout this bad since the 2008 recession. It's going to take years for America to recover from the loss in soft power and political capital alone. Everyone in these countries rightfully should be furious with the United States and should punish us with retaliatory tariffs, with boycotts. Don't stop the pressure until MAGA gives up on this fantasy of becoming allies with the Russians. And I don't think Russia's economy is going to be able to integrate with or save the American economy. Russian manufacturing PMI falls to lowest level since April of 2022. This is the Purchasing Managers Index for Russian manufacturing, and it fell to 48.2 in March. It's down. I mentioned this article because Russia's economy is still not doing good. Their year-over-year inflation officially is 9.9%, but it's actually much higher. Russia has a labor shortage because there's so much stimulus spending for the war, but none of it is sustainable. They're borrowing debt and forcing their defense companies to go into more debt to just keep this war operating like normal when none of the math adds up for Russia. And at some point, this house of cards is going to collapse, and this is who the United States has gone all in on allying itself with. Like, this is so stupid. Tuberculosis ravages Russian army with troops lining up for hospital beds, according to reports. We were getting this a couple days ago, but nobody knows how bad this is on the Russian front lines. The Russians are not collecting good data, and even if they did, they wouldn't share it with the rest of the world. But tuberculosis is the most deadly infectious disease in human history. In all of human history, tuberculosis has killed more than 1 billion human beings. More than malaria, more than smallpox, more than plague. And Russia really needs to stop this war if they want to effectively find, diagnose, and treat. Tuberculosis is curable, but it requires expensive drugs and several months' worth of treatments, which I don't think Putin cares about. I think if somebody tests positive for TB, they're just going to be put in the next meat assault and killed on the battlefield. That is more cost-effective, I'm assuming, than letting them sit in a hospital for 6 months to get better. One piece of bad news for Russia on the battlefield, a Russian Tupolev-22. This is a supersonic long-range bomber. It crashed in Irkutsk. I don't think Ukraine had anything to do with this. I think this was probably a piloting error or mechanical malfunction. But one of the pilots was killed. There are videos and pictures in the dark. This happened last night. I'll link the videos down below if you want to see them. Let's get to the good news for Ukraine. Netherlands commits over $500 million to Ukrainian drone development program. Thank you so much, the fantastic Dutch. Sweden announces new military aid to Ukraine worth $1.6 billion. Thank you so much, the fantastic Swedes. Latvia successfully delivered 1,500 combat drones, and their goal is to deliver a total of 12,000 for the first half of this year. Thank you so much, the fantastic people of Latvia. Final couple videos. The first one is from Akko. He's a protester in Georgia. And the people of Georgia are still protesting every day. They've been doing this for almost 5 months now, since their corrupt election in which Russia stole their government. And these are the people of Georgia still choosing to resist. Nobody is going to stop until Russia is defeated and these people finally have real peace and democracy. Final video is from the city of Lviv. This is a gathering in support of Azovstal defenders who have still been in Russian captivity. I don't know if this man himself is a former Azov member, but guessing from his leg, he's definitely a Ukrainian defender. And this is his speech to the public in Lviv.
Ми не маємо ніякого морального права жодного дня в своєму житті забувати про це до тих пір, поки останній крайній наш побратим вернеться з полону до своєї сім'ї, на свою землю, до своєї нації. Волю полонених!
Russia will be defeated. That's all for this update video. Glory to Ukraine, glory to the heroes. If you found this video informative, give me a thumbs up. Best way to support the channel. Comments and questions, let me know down below. I love hearing from you guys. Till the next video, keep defending the truth, keep defending democracy.